What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from Anime Uproar, and I'm back at it again with a huge chapter to discuss. This arc is definitely not off to a slow start, as already we got Blackbeard showing up yet again, and wow, it's big. So make sure to stay tuned for this one. Chill out, parking within, and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing these weekly One Piece reviews and updates and want to keep them coming. Make this the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell to turn on all notifications, or you will miss future One Piece videos and updates. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. This chapter is called The Only Family I Got, and the cover story is even huge. We see Charlotte Cracker, a sweet commander, with a 860 million bounty, frozen, and it looks like Pudding has been kidnapped. This raises the possibility that Kuzan, who as we know has been tied to Blackbeard, defeated Cracker with his ice powers and then kidnapped Pudding so that Blackbeard can use her ability to hear the voice of all things for the poneglyphs. This will seem all the more likely after what happens at the end of this chapter, but just wow, so much craziness in just the cover story, people. Anyways, onto the chapter proper, and we got Bonnie, Luffy, and Chopper big and satisfied after all the food from the machine. Chopper bets everyone would love the food machine except maybe Sanji. I love that comment, and yeah, it totally makes sense. If a machine can make delicious food, then it kind of makes Sanji's cooking seem less special. But beyond that, I'm sure Sanji would also have philosophical issues with a machine cooking as well, and how a machine could never attain the same level of artistry. It's then funny on how this punk comments on how much they love to eat and how they all have bulging bellies now, and so she includes Jinbei into it as well, even though he hasn't been picking out like the others. He even says his was already like that. I love the detail how you even have a mechanical dog that recycles. That would definitely be useful in real life. This punk says she's gotta get back to work, commenting on if she doesn't run riot, no one will. So clearly we're gonna find out what that means eventually. Our group then sees lab assistants wearing unique clothes. Luffy finds a clothes machine and puts on similar clothing to the lab assistants, commenting that despite the way they look, they're actually nice and breezy. Even the clothing is futuristic, of course. Bonnie is very excited for free clothes and ends up picking a battle uniform. All these machines are definitely perfect for a mad scientist who just wants to focus on working all the time. They save you from having to get food or clothes, and you're free to just do science as much as possible. As a YouTuber, it would definitely be nice to have those as well, I gotta say. Back to Bonnie, the machine undresses and dresses her despite the fact that she says she can undress herself. And I gotta say, she looks great in the outfit. Loving having Bonnie this arc, and the futuristic cosplay is the cherry on top of the cake. She comments on how the boots are light and make it feel like she's floating on the air. I love how Jinbei ends up picking a Hawaiian shirt that's completely different from the rest. He says the clothes would have been great for disguises, although it's probably too late now. Bonnie is about to head off on her own to find some weapons and deal with Vegapunk, but then, while still eating, which is a hilarious touch after they just ate so much already, Luffy sees Kuma wearing a police uniform. The police Kuma Pacifista shoots laser beams at them since they are the provisions and garment stealing thieves. Our dudes are of course shocked that it wasn't free. And a hilarious comment is brought up how police Kuma is causing huge damage that has to be worse than what they did as he is attacking them. I like that they bring that up and we're not just like, bro, how is stealing some food a problem and you can like destroy everything around? Luffy decides that he has to fight back, but then Bonnie stops him. Obviously, we know why she did it. It's because Kuma is her dad, but these guys don't know that yet. Accordingly, Luffy gets upset. Notably though, he gets her name right, at least in this translation, when he says, "What the heck, Bonnie?" That's huge. This is when she reveals to them that it's her father and begins to cry. The title comes into play here. As everyone is shocked at the news, she says he's the only family she's got. She begs them not to hurt her daddy, and by this point she's tearing up big time while we get an adorable flashback to her as a little girl playing with human Kuma. This panel definitely has Robin crying and Nami crying vibes, so could it be foreshadowing that Luffy will help this crying girl as well, and that she'll become a member of the crew as well? Let me know what you think, but the fact that she doesn't have any family anymore leaves a void that the Nakama could definitely fill, if you ask me. And I also think we could use more girls on the crew. Anyways, Luffy goes to save her from what he says is just a pacifista, and he calls her a dummy too. Obviously, they're going to be fine, but we get a cliffhanger where we see a big explosion before moving on. Still, it's good to see all the bonding with Luffy and Bonnie, I must say, I'm loving it. Then we get a certain sea in the new world, and we recognize Blackbeard's unique laugh. They are attacking Law and his crew, which we've called out before for being the most useless crew so far out of his, Kid's, and Luffy's. Props to Blackbeard, who had no trouble dealing with an underwater submarine. It said with another hit the water pressure will crush them, so they decide to surface. There's no choice, they gotta battle. And then we see a female Law and even a female Beppo, and I gotta say the female Beppo is hilarious. Law's crew members are even in love, talking about how their captain is so cute now. See what I'm saying? Not the most useful crew right here. By the way, how crazy would it be if this ability was used on Zoro and we saw Sanji's reaction? He'd be so torn, it would be hilarious. Anyways, they call it an infection and it spreads to the other crew members as well. As mentioned, they're doing the so-called forced gender flipping because Blackbeard is hoping it will disorient Law and his crew. Law is sweating, so he is nervous, but he says it'll be fine, and his clashes with the Emperors taught him that Devil Fruit powers can be countered if you use a great deal of Haki. Again, we have the theme of Haki being more important than fruit powers, which I like, otherwise a broken fruit could lead to a cheap victory, which no one wants that. Law succeeds in nullifying the disease. Doc Q is the one that used his Sick fruit to do it all. He calls that one the Milady transformation plague, and you can bet he has a lot more of those plagues to come. You can definitely see why he'd be such a threat to the world at large, and that also, I'd say, deserves a huge bounty. Then we see Van Augur use a warp fruit to teleport Burgess to the island where Law and his crew are. Another crazy fruit power. Burgess uses the buff fruit to lift an entire mountain. He even calls his fruit the best. Since super strength is already a thing with strong characters, you can only imagine how OP this fruit must be. It has to amplify physical strength way more or it wouldn't even be a fruit. Thus, Burgess may well be the physically strongest person in the series right now. Crazy how much Oda is showing off the Blackbeard pirates here. He's really hyping them up this arc, so I'm hoping that this arc will have a consistent Blackbeard focus. Law even comments on how these guys have hunted down some insane powers and how it's no wonder their bounties keep rising. Keep that in mind, their bounties keep rising. We'll come back to that. The mountain is going to crush them when Law activates Room. Blackbeard makes his appearance and he's riding on Stronger, who has the mythical zone Pegasus fruit. Another mythical zone to add to the list, and of course Blackbeard would have another one on his crew. Keep in mind, even though Stronger is sort of a joke character too, getting tired and stuff pretty easily, you can bet that there will be more crazy abilities that come with a mythical zone than just flying. Blackbeard reveals that he knew when Law, Kid, and Luffy left Wano, one of them would end up here, but he had no way of knowing who. That's an interesting comment, and it means Blackbeard could have potentially already run into Luffy. But of course, this works better so Oda can keep building up their rivalry and hyping up their eventual battle. Blackbeard comments, with Big Mom and Kaido gone, the world's gonna turn on its head, and he says, "That sounds fun." I absolutely love that response. Again, makes you think of the cover story and how Blackbeard would want to take advantage of their absence by hunting down their valuable assets. Blackbeard makes it clear that he's after the road poneglyphs and the rubbings that Law has, including Kaido's. Law says the same right back, wanting any that Blackbeard has. We're told when Titans clash, suggesting we are going to get a crazy battle next chapter, or at least at some point between these two legends. The harsh reality is though, no matter how much you like Law, Law and his crew are absolutely no match for Yonko Blackbeard and his crew. And keep in mind, Blackbeard had a bounty close to Shanks's before he attacked Boa, then he went on to kidnap Kobe, the marine hero, potentially kidnap Pudding with Kuzan's help, and now he's about to beat/kidnap Law and potentially get immortality. Remember that was one of the Ope Ope no Mi's abilities, that the current user could sacrifice their life to grant another eternal youth or life. We're not totally clear on how this will look look yet, but it was mentioned before in the story, so chances are it will come into play. Obviously, Blackbeard would love this, but I also find it very hard to believe that Oda would sacrifice Law, a very popular character. We'll see what happens, but Blackbeard, in a sense, as I'll explain, has definitely surpassed Shanks with this. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Blackbeard has definitely surpassed Shanks strength-wise, or that he could beat him in a one-on-one fight, because Shanks has just been all flexing so far, but bounty-wise, after the bow attack, the Kobe kidnapping, and now inevitably taking down a dude with a bounty as high as Yonko Luffy's, he will have to skyrocket, especially if, as Law says, their bounties are always going up already. I gotta say, I was not expecting such a good, crazy chapter, but I'm so glad Oda over-delivered here. I was thinking maybe we'd just get some continuing events on Egghead, but this Blackbeard insanity was amazing, especially since Blackbeard is like one of my favorite antagonists ever, so getting such a hype chapter with him in it was amazing. Definitely smash that like button if you love this chapter like me. Let me know your theories for what will happen. Does anyone actually think that Law has a chance? Let me know in the comments. Law can use his awakening, but that makes me also wonder, what would Blackbeard's awakening be? Has he already awakened it, or are we going to see something else crazy from his awakened devil fruits? So much to get hyped about with this cliffhanger. Make this the video you subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss future One Piece videos and updates. While you wait for the next chapter to drop, feel free to check out my One Piece playlist that includes videos on all the admirals, Yonko, an hour-long video about Shanks, and much more. Link to that is in the description on screen right now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see you, Space Cowboys.